Next, we will have Tu Vu, assistant professor at Virginia Tech and also faculty researcher at Google. He will presenting SealQA. Welcome.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I'm very happy to be here, and thanks for having me. So today, I'm going to be talking about a paper that we just put out on arXiv in June, so pretty new. So this was joint work with my PhD students, whose names are on this slide. Okay, so at a high level, we introduced a new challenge benchmark for LLM search agents. As you can see here on the x-axis, we have the number of reasoning tokens, and on the y-axis, we have the accuracy. And basically, current models underperform on this benchmark. And as we can see here, scaling up test time compute doesn't result in improved performance. And yeah, we'll see why in a sec. Okay, and then this work makes a small contribution to the current recent efforts in creating more challenging benchmarks. As you can see here, we have the performance of OpenAI models along with their performance on other popular benchmarks, including Humanities, LastExam, SimpleQA, and BrowseComp. And you can see the two yellow columns, the two yellow bars are the performance on SealQA variants. Okay, just a bit of history. So back in 2023, we wrote a paper on fresh LLMs, and in which we introduced a dynamic QA benchmark, fresh QA, focusing on asking about current knowledge, like who is the #1 ranked female tennis player in the world, and false premises, like maybe when did Google release ChatGPT, right, with a wrong premise, right? Yeah, so back then we found that LLMs struggle on these types of questions, and then we found flattened scaling curves. Yeah, and then the same pattern for premise questions. As you can see here, maybe for T5 or for Palm, we see that bigger models didn't perform better than small models, right? Okay, and then in that work, we introduced a new prompting technique, fresh prompt. So the idea is very simple. We try to curate and organize the search results, like sorting the search results based on publication date, as you can see here, and then teaching the model through in-context learning, do some reasoning, do a bit of reasoning before coming up with a final answer. And basically, this approach substantially improved LLM performance on FreshQA back then. And yeah, I also heard that this technique was implemented by Perplexity.ai in their early days. Yeah, but now these days, maybe FreshQA is no longer, or maybe it's not, maybe less challenging to current frontier models. One reason is that typically in FreshQA, it contains queries where maybe the final answers appear at the top of the search results, right? And so basically, just lexical or maybe semantic matching is sufficient. Okay, so like in this example. And this basically provides a motivation for us to build SealQA. So with the aim to raise the bar for reasoning. Yeah, so all the questions in FlashQA were carefully curated by humans, NLP researchers, such that for every single question, if you type it into a search engine like Google Search, you'll get a bunch of conflicting search results, right? For instance, is this question, which company most recently surpassed a $1 trillion market cap for the first time in its history? Yeah, so here what would happen if you type it into Google Search? You can see different answers, right, from the search results, maybe Apple, Meta, or Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, or Tesla, something like that, right? Yeah, and here's what a naive model would do. Basically, it would rely on simple lexical or semantic matching, right? And then coming up with the wrong answer of Berkshire Hathaway, like in this example, right? Yeah, but here is what a strong model should do, right? Typically, basically, it will try to effectively retrieve and reason beyond lexical and semantic matching, right? First, it try to find the correct article, and then maybe figure out a table on trillion-dollar companies, and then sort maybe the first column on when first passed $1 trillion, right? And after sorting, it might see it will figure out the right answer of Broadcom, right? So it's a bit more reasoning, more advanced reasoning. Okay, so here's another example. So what is the smallest cube number which can be written as the sum of two different positive cube numbers in two different ways, right? So the trick here is that if you get rid of the word cube, the first cube, it will be the exact wording of the statement about the taxi cab number, which said that 1729 is a solution, right? And basically, it's a well-known problem. So basically, all of the search results will say 1729, right? And then so the main difference here is that we have the word cube number at the beginning. And then if you are familiar with the Fermat last theorem, you know that it's impossible for a cube number to be written as the sum of two positive cube numbers, right? So basically the answer is there's no such number exists, right? But it's super challenging for all the models because they just rely on semantic matching. Okay, so here another a bit more realistic example. So a dad asking about the total tuition needed to pay for two of his sons. One is a Virginia resident taking 6 credit hours, and the other is a non-resident taking 8 credit hours, right? And then for the virtual campus for summer 2025, yeah, luckily this time the right document appears at the top of the search results. However, yeah, I don't know, there's something wrong with this question. Maybe it's too challenging to show up in the slide. But the fact that even though we have the right document at the top, the model would need to go through the whole document, PDF document of 12 pages, and then try to figure out the right table, right? For every single page, we have a table, right? It needs to figure out the right table on page 2 about the virtual campus. and then figure out the tuition for resident, Virginia resident and non-resident, and then the tuition for one single credit hour, and then do some math, 6 multiply A and then plus 8 multiply B, something like that, right? Yeah, so SealQA questions cover a broad range of complex reasoning skills. So we have questions about distinguishing between similar entities or events, or tracking changes to the same entity over time, right? Or maybe interpreting information embedded in the search result, plots, charts, or tables, or counting over the multiple items on a huge table, or reasoning over content written in another language. Say so the answer only exists in an article written in French, for instance. Or maybe debunking false premises or common misconceptions. Okay, so we have, SealQA comes in with 3 flavors. The first one is SealZero with 111 questions. So for each question, so basically each question was curated and refined iteratively until it caused multiple chat models, including ChatGPT 4.1 with browsing to fail to answer across multiple attempts, say 10 attempts, right? So basically zero accuracy. So hence the number 0 in the name of the variant. And then the second variant, the SealHard. Basically, we combine SealZero with other questions that didn't meet the criteria for SealZero, right? Causing all the chat model to fail 10 times, across 10 times. But they remain challenging. So we have the SealHard. And the final one in long Seal, basically it's a needle in a haystack variant. Basically, for each question is paired with a large set of retrieved documents in which only one document contains or implies the correct answer, and then that document is kind of buried within a large number of irrelevant or misleading documents. Okay, so curating the full data sets took a lot of efforts from my students and myself. 1 hour for each questions, and then it took us several months across through multiple development cycles. Yeah, if I was still a PhD student, I would likely consider dropping my PhD. Yeah, so what we found is that after we have the full data set, we found that current frontier LLMs, they struggle on SealZero, right? So including, so as we can see here, all the chat model, GPT 4.1 with browsing, they achieve 0 or near 0 accuracy. And even the O3 agentic reasoning model with full access to ChatGPT tools can only achieve around 17.1 of accuracy, right? Yeah, and then the second finding is that we found that DeepSeek R1, some reasoning models like DeepSeek R1 or O3 Mini, they can be highly vulnerable to noisy search results. As we can see, the last columns, the last bars over there, adding search results, augmenting search results into DeepSeek R1 actually caused the model to drop around maybe more than 11 points in terms of accuracy because of the noisy search results. Okay, and then maybe most surprisingly, we found that increasing test time compute doesn't improve the performance across all the reasoning model, including the O series from OpenAI. The performance kind of plateaus or declines early. And then, yeah, doing analysis, we found out that it's kind of the intuition is that as we as test time compute grows, we have more tokens, right? So longer chain of thought kind of amplifies irrelevant search results or irrelevant information, and kind of entangling the model in misleading information, and thus reducing the performance. Yeah, and then we also found that so the loss in the middle issue is no longer a problem for current models. So there's a paper about loss in the middle, right? They found that for the most important information, if we put it at the beginning of the prompt or at the end of the prompt, typically it will perform better than compared to when we put it in the middle of the prompt, right? But here we found that model typically they perform well across, regardless of the position of the golden document. Basically, the main problem now is about the model still failed to reliably identify relevant documents amid detractors. So basically, the issue has shifted from sensitivity to precision to something like general difficulty in modeling relevance within large and misleading context. Okay, so yeah, so there's still a large room for improvement on this benchmark. Even the latest model, like Grok 4 or Gemini 2.5 Pro, got around maybe 20%. So yeah, so I would love for all of you to try this benchmark. It's available on Hugging Face. All right, I would be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Super interesting. I have a question about the curation of these problems for CL0 required iteration against current models. Yeah. Did you hold back any major model family, like Grok or Gemini, and say that, look, don't look at that one, and then test across the one that was not, like, you're kind of finding a bad example for the models. So was there any family you didn't look at, and did you have a cross-result testing that one?
Yeah, so thanks for the great question. So during curation, we ask human annotators to focus more on chat models, right? Non-reasoning models, right? So try to fool chat models like GPT, ChatGPT, even with browsing, something like that. But we leave out the reasoning models.
I meant that if you look at the families of models, right? There's like 14 or 15 different trained from scratch, large-scale competitive models. And then there's many, many fine-tunes that kind of build off of many of these. So did you hold back any entire category? Like you don't test on Gemini, don't look at what Gemini does, or don't look at what Grok does, and then see, because it might be you're finding examples, like every model has its own bad ones, but they don't transfer, or that they're just bad for everything. Yeah.
So we just focus on back then the state-of-the-art models, and more like OpenAI models. We just focus on the ChatGPT, the GPT 4.0 and 4.1. Yeah. And as you can see here, somehow after that, even other models they perform also perform poorly on this benchmark, like the DeepSeek or maybe the Quen, right? Yeah.
I think we have time for just one more.
Hi, I'd love to hear what areas of knowledge you actually inputted into your test set, because, I mean, in implementation, this is really just about a matter of data engineering. So you have to be very specific what areas of knowledge and what sources are, known to be trusted, so you can grab from them. So I'd just love to hear what areas you picked and why.
Yeah, so we just try to cover a large number of domains, like multiple knowledge areas across topics. For instance, sports, intelligence, entertainment and education, something like that. We try to cover a broad number of topics. We don't focus on any specific knowledge areas.
I have follow-up questions, but maybe I can come to you after.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.